Welcome to my studio again. We're going on round two. This is the piece I started on last Friday, and I'm going to start going into this. Now, I have everything where I want it. I have been putting things in place. I've got my darks established. I've got my sky established, and I want to start building up. This is where I start getting a little bit heavier with paint, and I will, since I am a strokey painter, as I told you the other day, I'm going to start getting some textures in here. I'm going to start building up my textures. These are going to be fatter strokes. They're going to be thicker paint. That's what fat means. Fat is thicker paint over, I want to put thicker paint over thinner paint. Once I've established my thinner paint, I'm going to put all my values and everything where I want it. I'm going to start dabbling with a more richer impasto of paint. I want my surface to be very broken up. I want it to look interesting. If you look at the screen in the back on the TV screen, I have the actual picture there. I've gone to using a TV screen. The TV, we used to live in a 12-room house, and we had a couple of TVs. The small TV was in the kitchen, and we didn't have room for it here, so we were going to sell it. But then I figured this is a good thing for me to use. And then the other TV below, my daughter moved up north. She gave that to me and for me to use. And so when usually I like to have some background noise when I'm working in the studio. So I'll have that TV on with a movie. I just got watching the whole Harry Potter series, and then the top TV will have my pictures. Now, you say, what's a big waste of a TV? Well, the TV was already paid for. It was already spoken for, as far as there was nothing for it. No place for me to be. As you see, I made mistakes, but you wipe them off. Erase it. So what I did was I took it down here. It was costing me $10 to get photographs. I've got boxes of photographs all over the place. They're all over the studio, and it's $10 a box. Now I put my pictures. I take my pictures. I put them on a flash drive, and a flash drive fits in that TV. So that's what I'm looking at right now. I've got my latest flash drive in there, and I can put any picture up there for as long as I want. That picture has actually never changed from yesterday. So there's a lot of stuff happening there. So unfortunately, I've mixed my green. I'm going to mix a little bit of a pink now, and because there's a lot of reds. If there's green, there's got to be red's the complementary color of green. So I want to get in there, and again, I'm going to make this vibrate. I want some vibration in here, and I'm not going crazy with it, but there are places where there's red here, and you can see it kind of come alive a little bit with the green in there. I'm not going to just paint. You can't just paint. Well, you can. If you want to paint something all green, you can. It's going to be boring. It's going to be like watching snow melt. I want a bunch of little things. I want to dazzle you. And again, some pure color doesn't hurt. This is more yellow, and I'm trying to establish that there's sunlight hitting this flat plane. This is what's happening out there in the field. This sunlight is hitting this field right here, and it's dappling all of it. And when you get back, you're not going to see all the colors as you can right now. You're going to see all these beautiful mixtures of colors, and it could be flowers, it could be anything, but you just don't want to have flat colors. A flat green with light green and a flat dark green for the trees is just going to be boring. And this is what Monet and all the impressionists were working at. And I'm not going to try to make you an impressionist, but I'm going to try to guide you that there's a lot more to color than just coloring. You've got to sit there, and there's relationships between the colors, the actual colors, and you want to sit there and work on those relationships. It makes for a much more interesting painting. I am dappling in my trees here. Now remember I told you this tree is going to be darker, but it's not black. It's not a black dark. And this is going to have fuzzy edges too. You're not going to have a cutout tree that has, there's going to be edges. There's going to be an edge there, but it's not going to be like someone cut it out with a pair of scissors. So we're looking at mostly the back end of the tree here. We've got the front end of the tree there. So I'm going to mix a different green. It's going to be a cooler green because, like I said yesterday, it's farther away. And colors cool as they get farther away. I didn't talk about brushes yesterday. Again, I talked a little bit. I said I didn't like my brushes too much, and I'm not a big fan of my brushes. Again, I don't invest a lot in my acrylic brushes simply because I'm not an acrylic painter. I do paint in acrylic, and I've won awards in acrylic, but I don't want to. And again, I don't want to sit there and spend an awful lot of money on things that I'm not going to be using as much. So this tree is in the distance, and it's a little bit lighter colored. It's lighter, and it's a bluer green. And again, what I told you yesterday about working with three colors, you are gaining some experiences now that are going to be invaluable to you later when you try to do some other paintings. If you decide to pursue this further, you're going to have some very interesting experiences because you're going to be well versed in colors. And here I've got this is finally farther away. It's going to be lighter green. There's sunlight hitting this, but you notice this green is lighter than this green, and this green is going to be a little bit more green. This is a cooler green, and I'm just dappling in this. This is where the sun's hitting these trees back here. And I don't have to get too much detail. There's an old saying, less is more. I don't give you too much. I want you to come into this, and I want you to think about it. What are you looking at? Take a journey on my canvas and look where you go. What's around the corner here? What's in back of these trees? What is this place? So I want this to be an enjoyable experience for you. I want you to experience. I am not recording exactly what my picture is. I know what my picture is. I know what my picture says, but I'm not going to record it exactly because that's, to me, is not interesting. And once I get my footing done, once I get my ideas of what I'm going to do here, I don't really look at the picture too much more. I know where I'm going with this. I decided where I was going when I started this. So from here on, it's all pure me, and this is what makes or break it. If pure me isn't liked by anybody, this is going to sit in my studio for a long time. But if some people like this, and I find people that do, there's an old saying that 40% of the people you meet are going to like you. 40% of the people you meet aren't going to like you. 20% are going to have to make up their mind. And so I've got 60% here are either going to like this or have a chance of liking this. So, and again, I'm not painting for other people. I'm painting for me because this is what I do. And there's no delineated lines here. Grass, the shadow line on this grass is a line, but it's a delineated line, but there's grass, a bunch of sticks of grass, and it's hitting one blade of grass, it's hitting another blade of grass, so it's not going to be this solid delineation. And I can make this look like grass. Again, use your brush to get your effects. And you saw me putting blue here. I just started putting blue almost straight out of the tube right here because this is a shadow. And in shadow, the sun's not hitting where the shadow is. It is reflecting the sky. So there is things happening here with the shadow. The sky's blue and white there. And there are things happening there. So you want to show those things. Now again, depending on the style of art you decide to take up, you may or may not. It's all up to you. So now I noticed in my picture there's some straw colors. And straw colors are, I'm going to mix an orange, and then I'm going to dull it. I'm going to add some white, and if you can see that, everything's backwards on this camera. I don't know why it's backwards, so I've got to sit there and I've got to figure it out as I go, because I'm not showing you. I got to move to my right in order for the thing to move on the camera left. So, but anyways, I got some straw colors here, and I'm just going to lay them in. I'm going to give you some idea that there's something happening behind this tree. A couple of what they call tree holes, sky holes is what they call them basically. So again, so I'm just layering colors in, I'm layering textures, and I'm making it look as interesting as I possibly can. And sometime now, yesterday, remember I was talking to you about vertical strokes. Now, I mean horizontal strokes. Now I'm doing some vertical strokes because I'm trying to give a little bit of an indication of the blades of grass, but I'm only giving you a hint. This could be yellow pavement, but most likely not. We know that stuff like this in the field would be most likely some sort of a grass. So I'm giving you some, it's not yellow pavement. I want you to think of it as something tangible, something we know. And what you do know it is fields. These fields are hayed. They'll cut all this stuff at some point, and then this will go into cows, and cows will go into you, and this whole process at some point. I'm sure that made your day. But the thing I didn't mention yesterday, one of the things that I told you, some people swear by acrylics and some people swear at them. I swear, again, the drying can be a good thing, drying can be a bad thing. But what happens is to these, if you notice, you're watching this, you can see this transforming right in front of your eyes. Again, I'm still not too crazy about the details. I can do the details as I go and just touch some skies here and touch the trees and touch different things. But the thing about this, it dries darker. So I'm putting on some nice light skies here, and it's wet. It's nice and light. But what's happening to the paint now is that as it dries, it's drying darker. So that is one of the drawbacks, again, of acrylics. It's drying. It's the way it's drying. So I've got to be aware of that when I'm putting all this together. And again, this color here, if I darken this color a little bit, I can show that this color exists in this shadow. It's a bit the same colors, but I've darkened the colors that I used there. And again, I'm giving you some indications of some things, and I'm only suggesting this. Okay, and you notice this whole painting has been created by what I would refer to as spots of color. The spots of color concept comes from the Cape Cod School of Fine Art that's down in Providence. It was started by a guy named Charles Hawthorne, and he had a theory about using color like this. A man named Henry Henchy was his subordinate. He was after Charles Hawthorne gave it up. I believe he died. But after he gave it up, Henry Henchy came in and took over. And then after him, a woman named Lois Graffel took over. And she carried on their tradition. And they have a great tradition. And it's all about spots of color and blocks of color. Because basically, that's all the painting is a bunch of spots of color. I'm not creating, this is not a tree. I haven't put a tree there. I'm giving you the impression of a tree. And but it's not a tree. And kind of faking you out a bit, or trying to anyways, do that magic. And when it gets too wet and when it gets too set up, I don't want to mix these colors on the canvas. Sometimes I do this in oils a lot. I don't mix these colors, but I'm not going to do them now. I'm not going to give you any indication of the trunks of these trees. And there's some confusion here with the tape because I've painted outside the border. And but right on my palette right now, my paint is seizing up. But you do have some sunshine hitting this tree here from the right side. And everything just gave way there. That's all right. And I want to give that indication of that. The Impressionists were concerned about light. And I'm concerned about light. I love light. I love how light acts in places. I like how light reflects off buildings, how light reflects off of different things in a field. I like the way the light plays off, say, seagulls. And I'm building this up, and I'm getting to the point now where I probably should stop because I'm getting too crazy with this, but that's okay. And I can create the environment for you, because I can make you do different things. I can make you think that there's things beyond that tree, there's fields beyond it. But I'm breaking up the planes so there's nothing here set in stone. You can look at this and you can imagine you're walking into a field, and one last thing I want to touch now. This is round 2 on this painting, and I'm running on. I'm into 16 minutes. I'm trying to keep these down because I don't want this to be a long, boring thing. But I'm actually probably not going to do too much in the sky right now. I like the sky the way it is. It's a subtle sky. And I'm mixing white again the same way I started this out. White, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of red. And I'm not going to use black this time. And a little bit of blue. I'm getting a greenish color again. When you're working in this environment, it's hard to keep your colors clean, and it's important to keep your colors clean. This is why I'm going to stop right now, because I can't keep my palette clean. And, yeah, I can do that. Let's just make the sky happen here. And again, my clouds, there's no shape of clouds. Clouds are a shapeless entity. They're formed, they're water vapor. So they're going to sit there and float. They're going to change. The cloud, if you went and looked up at a cloud right now in about 20 minutes, or maybe 5 minutes, it's not even going to be the same thing that you saw earlier. It's going to be different if it's there at all. So, and it can be whatever you want it to be. Yeah. Too light. And again, here's the tennis match. I'm in and out of my sky with my clouds. My clouds look good, and don't be afraid to use your tools and use your fingers. And what I can do here is I want a couple of sky holes here. And again, I probably should use a smaller brush for this to give the tree some delineation. If there's something the tree has. Yeah, probably not the greatest sky holes. I'm gonna. But all right, so that's stop. That's round 2. End. All right, and this is going to dry. And once it dries, I'm going to go into it probably 2 more rounds. But we won't see it again. I'll show it to you in class. But this is the end of round 2 of last Friday's class. Signing off.